Okay, I've been trying to do a little research here, which none of this is scientific, or it could be. I don't know. I mean, you can look all this stuff up yourself. As a matter of fact, there's so much stuff I've been looking through over the past week that it's kind of hard, and I can't get it all in a screenshot anyway, but there's a lot. Now, these are just dates I've got up here. Let me move this calendar here over a little bit. I want to try to get all that in there. These are very coincidental dates, too. And now, these are past. We already had the blood moon on April 15th, which was Jewish Passover. And everybody says, well, there was nothing significant happened on that day. Well, there was a significant occurrence. For all of you that don't know, our first president, the inauguration, the beginning of this nation, when the Constitution went into effect, George Washington was sworn in at Ground Zero, which was the church property at that time. St. Paul's Cathedral, it wasn't the little narrow building, just sitting there, with a street right in front of it back then. Back then, it was a big grassy lot, which extended into Ground Zero. Yes, that's right. Bet some of y'all didn't know that. So anyway, when the towers fell in Ground Zero, it destroyed a sycamore tree in front of the St. Paul's Cathedral, which is what they say stopped the beam from hitting the church. The church was undamaged, being right across the street from the World Trade Center. All the buildings around it damaged. That little church didn't get a scratch. All right, but there was a tree knocked down. It was a sycamore. They replaced the tree with a cedar tree or an Aries tree. A conifer, evergreen tree, okay? One of those piney needle trees. So they replaced it with that. I think that was 2004 or so, somewhere in there. Well, they fertilized and they did everything. Well, it withered away and died. Why did they pick this exact date? I don't think they were the people New York City Works was watching for the moons and everything, but they just happened to pull it up in the middle of the night and throw it in the chipper shredder exactly on the 15th of April 2014 during the full lunar eclipse. Now, you're going to see these quite coincidental things happening. George Washington signs it. The first thing they do after he's sworn in is they go over to the church with the leaders and they have a prayer for the nation and all like that. So, one of the things that George Washington said was in a speech was he mentioned that should the nation ever turn from God, her protection would be taken away. Okay, so 2001, September 11th, everybody knows what happened. Poof, the towers come down. Anyway, after that, there's some other things that happened. Let's see, June 11th, Hamas and Israel. 29 June, Iraqi Christians start getting martyred in Iraq. October 8th, we had the Feast of Tabernacles. And, what do you call it? Nobody's been watching recent news, so you wouldn't know that, things are going to crap. We're in an economic war with Russia now, and we're having, everybody's going, getting giddy because gas prices are falling. Well, let me tell you, that money you're saving for gas, don't go out riding around. Put some of it back. Now's a good time to hoard some gas for when the prices turn around, because they will turn around. They're not, it's not going to stay this low for long. So, if you can fill up your gas cans, do it now, because you'll wind up using it later. It'll pay for itself. Okay, anyway, then we move on into this year. I'm going to let y'all know, surely your memory isn't bad enough to see all the crap that's happened since the October 8th blood moon. Now, here's something significant. This is happening on the Jewish New Year's for Kings, which is actually the first fruits, the beginning of the lambing season. We call it the first day of spring. And it's also the most probable day that Jesus' actual birthday was. We're going to have a full lunar eclipse, solar eclipse in the United States. Solar eclipses are signs of judgment. Now, I don't know if anybody's looked at the debt clock lately, but we're over $18 billion in debt. They're talking about starting QE4. I'm not a mathematician by no means, but when you get up into trillions, that's more fingers and toes than I can count, and I don't think there's any way we can pay that back. Unless hyperinflation comes, in which case you're going to be glad that you hoarded that gasoline right now. Because, if gas goes up to $10 a gallon, then, because the dollar will crash. There's no doubt. Just win. Now, there's another thing going on exactly at the same time. At the same time, these moon signs are going on. And that's the Shemitah. Now, these are some dates. 1973. Oil stock crash. I think that's basically, it was the end of the Buttonwoods agreement that they signed on Wall Street. Anyway, you can look up the Buttonwoods. In 1980, I remember this one. This was the hard recession. Gas lines. Unemployment was double digit. It's still double digit, but they're fixing the numbers. Anyway, it was hard recession then. 1987, they had another stock market crash. Wasn't as bad. 94, they had the bond market. Anybody remember the savings and loan fiasco? Yeah, that was Clinton's fiasco. Then 2001, of course, we had 9/11 and a stock market crash, which was on Elul 29. And we'll get into the Elul stuff here in a minute, but it was over 600 points. It just, okay, but, everybody go, oh, that was because of 9/11. Okay, coincident it was that date, though. In 2008, we had the biggest one-day loss in history. It was 777 points. 777 on the end of a 7-year cycle. Is somebody trying to hit us over the head and tell us something? Now, 2015 is the end of another Shemitah. And it always ends on Elul 29. Elul, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It ends on Elul 29. Now, I don't know if this is coincidental or not, but on that exact same date, we're having a partial solar eclipse here. I don't know if partial could mean that we're not going to be destroyed. We're just going to be sucker punched. This could be the collapse of the dollar. But it just is so happening that we are having a partial eclipse on the same day as that. So, yeah, take it for what it's worth. If you want to try to have all your ducks in a row before, I'd say try to get your stuff done before 20th of March. Because these things are, the world just doesn't look good right now. To me, it's worse than it's ever been. And it's not getting any better. Anyway, I'm going to move this on over here a little bit. Okay, after the September 38th, we have the final blood moon. And this is a super red blood moon. Now, do I think this is going to be the end of the world? No. It's going to be the beginning. It's going to be really great. Because it will be the beginning of the tribulations. The reason I make this video is so that y'all can sit there and say, okay, David said that after the 28th, actually, something will probably happen to the stock market right around the 13th. Now, the 13th is on a Sunday. So, I don't know if you have to look at the overseas markets first or what, because it'll be Monday there first, I think. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they wake up over there. because it's tomorrow. I think that's how that works. Anyway, so we'll start looking for what's going on. And then the final blood red moon will be the 28th. Now, there's another thing that's also coincidental that all this stuff is happening together. Now, please take into account when you turn on the news and watch the economic forecasts and everything, see what's going on overseas. Look at, more states every day are going to gay marriage. We're already killing our babies, so offering our children up for sacrifice, and we've got an out-of-control government. Oh, I just watched a press conference for the White House today, and they came out and admitted that the government is actively on social media trying to counter extremists. And believe it or not, they consider me an extremist. So there is somebody up there in D.C. that's giving me some YouTube money by watching my videos to see what I'm saying. And if they don't like what they say, they come in and they counter it. They put out stuff to counter it. They actually have people in Washington being paid to tell things the government's way and put out nonsense so you won't watch me, people like me. Isn't that a good use of taxpayer money? All right, so anyway, this is coincidence. Now, here's another coincidence I think it's really 2016, because the Jubilee year is supposed to be the year after the Shemitah. You go from the Shemitah into the Jubilee. So that's beginning of that only happens every 50 years, 7 times 7, 49. So at the 49th year, you've got a Jubilee. And for us being in judgment, that our own leaders put us there, I mean, they get on the house floor and read out of the Bible exactly the verses and passages that were putting Israel in judgment way back, 3,000 years ago. They read in Congress the same things that were putting Israel in judgment to put us in judgment. All the way down from the sycamores to the cedar trees. I mean, exactly. They're reading word for word out of the Bible. And so therefore, I have reason to believe that we are going to suffer the same fate as Israel. Now, Israel did not go poof overnight, all right? So we're not going to go poof overnight. It's not going to be, the only thing going to be in a twinkling of an eye will be us Christians going poof, we'll go away and leave y'all non-believers behind. So one will be taken, one will go away. Now, I'm not saying this is rapture date either. For all I know, we'll be here through the tribulations. Of course, you're probably going to shoot me before then, because they won't. I'm a marked man. You're not going to let me sit here and talk and spew this stuff while everybody's mad because the sky has done fallen. You're going to blame it on me. You're going to say this is all my fault because I saw it coming. But I told you. I blew my trumpet. I'm blowing it now, telling you, look, hey y'all. You better fill your lamp full of oil, because, we've got some bad weather coming. Anyhow, these coincidences here of all these things just happening on the same time, too much coincidence. Too much coincidence for me. I think God is telling us that He's fixing to put His Son, Yeshua, or Jesus, as most of you know Him by. He's said, hey, son, time to go work. Time to go plow them fields. Because the garden's full of weeds, and He's going to have to plow it up. We're the, the soil is the earth. So get ready for a good plowing. And we're going to get turned under. And that's what the shaking and all that stuff is. It'll be Jesus coming through plowing the fields, turning them over. Well, actually, it probably, it's hard to explain because Satan is in control of the world. I mean, he is the God of this world. You know, so that's one of the reasons Jesus has to come down here and plow it up, because, get rid of him. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring all this in here, and I know most of you think I'm crazy, but that's okay. That's okay. All I want to do is put these dates out here, so when this does happen, and all like that, you'll say, and I'm going to sit there and say, well, I told you so. And I always love to say, I told you so. So, people consider themselves preppers and stuff. There's a lot of things your prepping won't work for. If you're not right with God, your stuff could go bad. I mean, God's done it before, because your water can be turned to wine. I'm sure your grain supplies can be turned to contamination or something, The only way to be through this is to get your, like I say, make sure your lamp is full of oil. And if you don't know what that code phrase is, you better read the Bible. Because if your lamp's not full of oil, you're liable to get plowed under with the rest of the weeds. Or it won't be pleasant anyway. Let's see, I think that's all I've got to say. Oh, I'm already up 16 minutes. I got to go now. Bye.